You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
This podcast is presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, telling Oklahoma story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at oklahomahof. So where then, after you get all your equipment and your wife says you're spending too much, not too much, but you're spending a bit of money, like this better work, where's that first gig? Like, are you out there saying, hey, I'm a singer, like hire me, or does someone just give you a chance straight away?
No. I wish that's how it worked.
Yeah.
No, you kind of figure out, I knew like my style, what I wanted to do. At the time they had a steakhouse at the Grand Casino in Shawnee.
Yeah.
And so I had a promotional packet that my buddy Clay put together, right? And it was top notch.
Yeah.
It looked much better than I was, right?
That's exactly what it's used to. It's what it's supposed to be, though, isn't it? You got to sell people on it.
And so I sent it to several of the casinos around because I thought it was a good fit. And when I followed up with the Grand, the woman that was in charge of that at the time, Michelle, she was awesome to me. She just was super generous. And she's like, you know what? She goes, I'll have you sing at the steakhouse if you'll sing every Thursday night.
Yeah.
And so I sang at the steakhouse in Shawnee every Thursday night for a year.
Yeah.
And literally had very little idea of what I was doing. I can remember standing in my kitchen with my lyrics in front of me, I would come home early from work and I would sing for 2 hours to try to memorize the lyrics before my kids got home from school and my wife got home from school and all those things. And then I would go to this and I would have my lyrics in front of me, and bless those people's heart that had to listen to me those times because I was just trying to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
And then I had tried to get with Box Talent. I'm not throwing Box Talent under we still work with Box Talent. I love them to death. But I had tried to get their attention for about a year.
Yeah.
I'd sent them a promotional packet. I had called them, and they get people all the time trying. Yeah. And so I'm going to tell the story anyway. So they had an event coming up and they needed somebody to sing dinner music. And I don't remember how I got the gig, but it was for a fairly prominent family in Oklahoma City. And so it was at the Skirvin, on the 14th floor. It was an unbelievably beautiful evening. And, it was the wedding planner that hired me because I knew her.
Yeah.
And so, but she's like, hey, wait, it's just 45 minutes. It's just dinner music. That's all we want you for. Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
We've got someone else coming in.
Yeah. We got a DJ,
Right.
That's fine. So I remember I got up to sing and I just started doing my thing, right? I had already been at the steakhouse for a year. I had the songs pretty down pat.
You knew your set at this point.
Yeah. And it was probably the first time that as a performer I went, okay, this is working, right?
Yeah.
And so by the time I got done with the 45 minutes, I got a standing ovation from a dinner crowd, right?
Yeah. From people who aren't supposed to be listening.
They're not supposed to be listening,
It's background
right?
music. They're supposed to be chatting and eating food.
So I got a standing ovation from them when I was done.
Yeah.
And when I walked off the stage, David Box was standing there.
Yeah.
And he goes, dude, why don't you work with us? And I was like, I've been trying for a year, right? And he's like, okay, we're going to fix that.
That's awesome.
And so we started working together then. And from there, they have kept me busy. And so I chase stuff down on my own, right? And I run it through them and they chase stuff down. It's been good for both of us.
Well, it's a product of you being very good at what you do and putting in years and years. And even if you didn't do that show, that dinner, someone, eventually by doing so many reps, you're going to get that gig, right?
Yeah.
If you do it long enough for as good as, at the level that you do it at, someone's going to notice.
Yeah.
You just happen to notice a pretty big event at someone's wedding, and the guy owns the.
He was at the right place. Well, and it's one of those things. My band leader, Floyd Haynes, right? He handles all my musicians and all that stuff. And Floyd's been around music forever. He's had a big band.
Yeah.
He's and we were flying to Houston for a gig one time to do an event together. And I remember we were talking about the work and the life and all those things. And he said, sort of off the cuff, he goes, the general rule is you get to perform on the stage you deserve to be on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's sort of, it, like a punch in the face, because you always want to be on bigger stages. Right. You want to be, but what you realize.
Vegas shows, headline, whatever it is. Yeah.
And what you realize after you've done it, like you said, after you put the reps in, 10 years ago, I wanted to be on a bigger stage.
Yeah.
I had no business being on a bigger stage. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you realize you got to put the time in.
Yeah.
Whether you want to or not.
Mm-hmm.
And by the grace of God, I've been able to work while I've been putting in the time. And, to my own detriment, it's one of those things where you start out. I was thinking about this whenever I was thinking about our interview.
Yeah.
You start out and you go, hey, okay, this is my sweet spot. This is, and then you have some success, and then you get too smart for your own good, right?
Yeah.
And you think, okay, well, wait a second. How could I appeal to more people, right? I think I'll do some country music, right? I think, I like Red
You
Dirt.
stray from what you're really good at.
Yeah. And so, again, Clay
did say on a previous podcast that you were I don't think he mentioned it on the podcast, but he did mention something about you singing George Strait.
Yeah. So, and it's kind of our inside joke.
Yeah.
Because I have had all these varied, side paths to my career that all go, hey, I think I'm going to, and literally Clay is very gracious about it, but he's like, oh, okay. Yeah, sure. That's a great idea.
Either I'm going to tell you in about a month that you should stick to what you're good at, or you're going to figure it out yourself.
That's right. Yeah. It goes down in flames, and I go, maybe I'll do the Sinatra stuff
back
again.
To Sinatra,
and literally, I think the last show I did before the pandemic started was on Valentine's Day of 2020. It was at the Grand Casino.
Yeah.
Not ironically.
Yeah.
It was a Valentine's show. I had a 17-piece orchestra. I had all new charts written for it. It was easily the biggest show I had ever done, and I was so excited about it.
Yeah.
And so I did it. We did the show, and I was like, okay, we can do this, right? We can replicate this other places. And then 30 days later, I had 0 shows for the rest of the year.
It's such a big, you're at the top of your game. It's the highest, the biggest show you've ever done. And then it's like, oh, that's it. Now what do we do?
Yeah. And so,
sadly, you can't sing at events from a Zoom call,
No, you can't. It's just not very good.
Yeah, it's not going to work, is it?
And so again, I know the pandemic's been tragic, right? For a lot of people.
Yeah.
But it was the thing that forced me to kind of take a step back and go, okay, wait, what do you really want to do?
Yeah.
And I realized at my core, it's just I just want to be in front of people. I want to sing the kind of music I like to do.
Yeah.
I don't want to chase anything. And if I'm a good fit for your group, for your event, if you want to come see me, awesome. If you don't like what I do, that's totally cool too,
fine.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I love all music. I mean, blues, straight jazz, opera. Country. Except death metal. I'm not a big death metal fan. I can't.
You and Victor Hovland wouldn't be listening to the same music on a road trip. Probably not.
Okay, probably not. No.
Yeah, he loves his Norwegian death metal.
Oh man, no, I can't do that. But I love all music. But I also get that. Yeah, it's not for everybody, right?
For me, talking about music, everyone says, we're talking about Wales, who's very good at music that came out of Wales, and there's a few. Tom Jones is probably the most famous.
Oh, absolutely.
And then you've got Shirley Bassey, was someone my nan absolutely loved.
Right.
And then a few others, but Wales is a very kind of vocal vocal country, I guess. I don't share any of that. So I'm terrible at singing. But it's one thing that, you know, it's a feeling that I kind of tell everybody, like, when you're at a rugby match and you hear, you know, you got 75,000 people on their feet singing the national anthem, regardless of how bad they are at singing.
Right.
That pride that comes from, like, that's the one time I will sing openly in front of a crowd.
Right.
Because you've got 75,000 people around you singing that. And I got goosebumps thinking about it now. Like, it's one of the greatest feelings in the world. I can't imagine what it's like for you to be on stage, comfortable up there. You dress well, you look good, you feel good. You're in front of people and they're happy already. And then they listen to you sing and listen to the music. Now they're dancing. Like, that's a feeling that I've never had, you know, in front of people. And I think it must be amazing. And probably a lot of people dream of that feeling, regardless if it's singing, but up on a stage in front of people. I mean, that's probably the biggest fear of everybody is being in front of a stage and under the spotlight. But, you know, that feeling of having a crowd. And another thing comes to mind is that scene of Freddie Mercury at Wembley where he's just got the crowd in the palm of his hand. And just like, how cool must it feel to have that? You know, and everyone's singing along with you.
Well, and just like you said, I mean, just doing something that makes people happy, right? And they're happy anyway.
Yeah.
What I always tell people, I mean, you know, when I either talk to other people that are performers that are younger than I am or just starting, or when I was leading worship and I would, you know, you have people sing at church, you know, you have to tell people that the audience is only going to relax as much as you relax, right? Because if you're nervous, they're nervous.
You can see it.
Because the reality is they want you to do well.
Right.
They want you to crush it. They want you to do great. But they need you to relax. And so, you know, years ago, a buddy of mine and I went to Kansas City to see Michael Jackson and the Victory Tour. And I will never forget, you know, we're in Kansas City, the football stadium. And it's packed. And Michael Jackson had how many ever people fit in that stadium? 70,000 people.
Right,
I mean, you could have heard a pin drop. He had them right in the palm of his hand. And I remember thinking, oh, that's
a performer right there.
That's legendary, right? And it's amazing.
So coming forward then, after seeing, you know, people like that and idolizing it and going forward and you know, diving into it, and then you get all the way up to, you know, playing shows and then you have your biggest show yet, and the pandemic says,
Next.
no sir. After a couple of years, you know, you're finally back. I'm sure you're so excited to get back on stage, start singing in front of people. What changed, I guess? Did anything change over the kind of pandemic time and change up the set and get back to, you know, what you love? And like, is there anything new going forward?
Yeah. So, I would say a couple of things. Number one, I took a step back, right? I had to take a break, and I kind of realized what my real passion was. And I realized what my sweet spot was, what I like doing. In the meantime, when I was not working, not doing anything, and a little shout out, I went to work at Sandler, which is where you and I met. Right. And so I worked for Mike Crandall for the last
previous podcast guest.
15 months. And what I learned while I was teaching other people, I would say in many ways just changed my life. Just so much about the little things, about setting expectations, about making it about the other person. You know, I'd always known that, right? As somebody on stage, it's about the audience. It's not about me. But there was still, if you're not super intentional about it, it can become about you, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, so. And then you start demanding only, you know, red-colored Skittles in your green room and all that stuff, you know?
And they would say, good luck with that.
Good luck with that,
So it's just, you know, I think the break, I think working at Sandler and everything I learned through Mike, you know, I can't recommend them enough. And then coming back out of it and just realizing, do what you're good at, right? Don't try to. And so I would say moving forward, like, kind of wrap this up because I know we've been talking a while. Like right now, currently, I do a lot of private events, right? Weddings, dinner parties, charity events, things like that. Because people say, well, where can I come see you? And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
you can't.
Here's
really.
my day rate.
Yeah, well,
you can hire me.
It's just unless you're invited to those
unless
events,
you're
you're
a wedding
not going.
crasher, you can see me there.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I might be soon.
Yeah,
We'll
well,
see.
that's okay.
Yeah.
You got the tuxedos for it.
Exactly. I can do that. Yeah.
So there's a new restaurant in Oklahoma City called Steak the Experience.
Yeah.
Steak the Experience.
Can't wait
it's
for
on
that.
it's on the corner of May and Britain, and his whole idea for the restaurant is he wanted to create like his 1960s Las Vegas supper club vibe.
Awesome. Yeah.
So he completely gutted the inside of that location. Actually, it used to be an old Luby's, right, cafeteria.
Okay, yeah.
So it does not look like a Luby's anymore. He gutted it. Beautiful walls, beautiful interior, and kind of has the Art Deco signage and things like that. And he's got a stage right in the middle.
Does he have a neon sign out front?
On the front of the building.
Yeah.
So, I sing there every Saturday night through the end of March.
I'm going to have to come see you.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's incredible food, right?
Yeah.
Very, very fancy, right? But wonderful food. It's me and my quartet. So we're doing the whole Sinatra, kind of Rat Pack thing while people eat dinner. So that's going on. And
What time are you on stage?
7 to 11.
Okay.
Every Saturday
And
night.
how many of you are in the group?
There's a quartet,
Oh,
like
so
my four guys and me.
Show you how much I know
Yeah,
about.
that's fine.
I'll keep that one in.
There'd be four of us. Yeah.
Gosh, so bad at this. Yeah.
So there's four of us, and so I'm doing that,
Awesome.
and then I've got other events, right, that I'm doing, private events and things like that, and then I've got the thing I'm most excited about right now is I've got a show that I'm working on for this year.
Yeah.
That I want to take to either some of the casinos or some of the, but we're sort of in the beginning process.
It's like starting again now, isn't it? Right?
Yeah, it's
Kind of.
a
I mean,
little
they
bit.
know obviously they know who you are and they know your background, but then you get to it's like being reborn again. You can restart your set.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And be
yeah.
like, hey, I get to bring this is giving me
Yeah.
a chance to. Not very often do you get 2 years or a year and a half off to say, hey, I want to build a new set and
Right.
plan that.
No,
Where do I want
absolutely.
to go from now? And what does my set want to look like for the next year to 5 years or whatever it is?
Yeah, well, in the
So-
show that I created,
Yeah.
I literally thought of back in 2013, and sort of toyed with it. But as I said, right, all these different paths, and then I just over the pandemic, I thought, okay, you know what, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna do it this year, and we're gonna see
Awesome.
how it goes. But it'll be fun regardless.
So people can I guess go to the website to see or
They can.
listen to you on Spotify and all the other platforms.
Go to wadetower.com.
Okay.
You can listen to me on iTunes.
Yeah.
Feel free to buy 100 CDs for yourself.
Yes.
Spotify, Pandora, Amazon
Okay.
Music, cdbaby.com.
All platforms.
You can go to,
yeah. I know that's all
Facebook,
linked through the website.
all those places. Yeah. You
Okay.
can get to all those through wadetower.com. So
So finishing up, what is your favorite song to
Oh,
sing?
wow.
What is your favorite song to sing, to perform? And if you don't mind, I would love to hear you sing.
Oh.
So I don't know if the people in this room, people in the
Wow.
coffee shop are going to be serenaded soon.
yeah,
but
that's that's a big ask.
do you, what would I guess be your favorite song to perform?
I would say it probably varies, right? Depending on where things are. Probably, you love to perform songs and audiences love certain songs, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if I have a favorite, but I would say Fly Me to the Moon is because it's just one of those songs, right? As soon as you start singing the first line, people go, oh, I
Is
like
that one to get people on the dance floor, or is that an end of the night song for you?
No. They'll get on the dance floor.
That's
with that song.
okay.
Yeah.
Let's get the party started. Let's get Fly Me to the Moon.
End of the night song. Almost every, and unless something different is happening at the client's request.
Yeah.
Almost every show, the last song I sing is My Way,
Okay.
and that's just because, right? It's that kind of song. It's a good finish. It's a song everybody knows, and people still dance to it. We get people on the dance floor.
Slow enough that people are going to be okay. Like, time to go. Lights coming on.
That's Life. I love that song. But it's got a lot of energy and things like that. But it's not a dance song at all. So it's all. But between
What would be your, so in the UK, I think I might have told you this, Wales has like the I don't know, I think it's the biggest Elvis festival in Europe.
Okay.
Is in Wales. It's in a
I did
town
not know
called
that.
Porthcawl.
Okay.
A really good friend of mine, he when he worked as a kid, I say when he was like 16 to 18, he'd work at this club, and the best time at this club theater place was Elvis week, and it's an entire week, and you just got people dressed up as Elvis all week, right?
Oh, yeah.
Around this tiny little seaside town.
Yeah, everywhere.
And it was he enjoyed it so much that now he works a career job. He takes off a week and goes back and works. He's 31 years old.
Yeah.
He works Elvis week
Yeah.
because he enjoys it so much,
No,
right?
Okay, so here's one thing I didn't
So what I was
tell
going
you.
to say, what is your favorite Elvis song?
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big Elvis fan.
Yeah.
One of the things I didn't probably tell you in my little story, right? So in my area between acting and when I started singing, in that 15 years, and I was doing the celebrity sing thing.
Yeah.
I did the Elvis thing in a celebrity sing.
Yeah.
And Stan Clark was in that same thing. Because
Stan Clark.
Because he can sing, right? He's a good performer,
Right.
And he had at one of the Eskimo Joe's anniversary things, he had an Elvis competition years and years ago, and so he asked me if I would be in it because he said, we don't have a local guy in it.
Right.
People coming from all over.
Yeah.
I was like, okay,
I can't wait to hear his
sure.
story on the podcast. He's got to come on soon.
Yeah, he should.
Yeah.
Dude, he's got a ton of stories.
Yeah.
So I was in this Elvis, and there was, 8 or 9 of us, right? But the other guys in the competition were very serious about it. I mean, they were very serious about it.
All the dance moves down.
Oh, and so
hundreds of dollars, maybe thousands in the suit.
Oh,
the
there's no
outfit.
doubt. Yeah, their suits were
the
custom.
Hair, everything, glasses.
And part of the marketing was before the competition, we all had dinner together at Eskimo Joe's in our outfits, right?
How many Elvis are we talking here?
Like 8 or 9. There's 8 or 9 of us.
So good.
And so we're all sitting around eating dinner, and one of the Elvises goes, "Hey, how many of you guys think Elvis is still alive?" Right?
Yeah.
So we're going around the table. Well, like all the guys are like, "Yeah, still alive."
100%.
They get to me, and I'm like, "I'm pretty sure he's dead." And then I was instantly the most disliked Elvis at the table.
Yeah.
So, but I did that competition, and that competition, the local TV stations covered it and all that. And because of that, I had people calling me saying, "Hey, would you come do Elvis at my wife's birthday party, or would you come do?" So I had about a 2-year period.
Yeah.
Where I was an Elvis impersonator. Right?
Yeah.
Not by choice necessarily. But the thing that I loved about it is when you walk into a room in that white outfit,
everyone knows.
Everybody loves Elvis.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
And when I sort of got tired of doing it, I was just like, okay, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, you don't want to just be known for the guy who does Elvis.
No.
Right?
But when I thought, okay, well, the way to get out of it is I'll just raise my prices, right? I'll just make it. So people would say, "Would you do it?" And I'd say, "Well, yeah, but it's going to be this much." And they'd go, "Okay." And I was like, no, don't say okay. And so I finally just had to kind of retire. But I will tell you this, the show that I'm going to do later this year, it's called The Chairman and the King. And the first half of the show is Sinatra, and the second half of the show is Elvis.
It's coming back.
Oh, there's no doubt, because I want to do it. So favorite Elvis song, probably Suspicious Minds.
Yeah.
I like A Little Less Conversation. That's a great song. So there's a lot of good Elvis songs.
That's the great thing about it, is there are so many good songs.
Oh my gosh.
There was the only reason I knew who Elvis was because there was a friend of my dad who he lived across the street from us when we were growing up, and his nickname was Elvis. Because he loved Elvis, like all he would listen to. And he kind of had the hair as well. And, his name's Rob, but I didn't realize what his name was for a long time. Everyone just called him Elvis. And he is still today, everyone calls him Elvis. That's his nickname. And it's just really funny to and he would always play it, and he would always, I think we went to his wedding, and I was like, obviously my parents were invited, they were good friends, and I was a kid, and I remember him coming out at his wedding performing as Elvis.
He likes
I'm
Elvis.
just like, who does that? And he was just a huge fan.
But here's a great story about Elvis. So when I was leading worship at that church, right, we had Sherman Andrus come one weekend and give a concert. So and Sherman's still alive, right? And Sherman was one of the Imperials who was the background singers for Elvis.
Okay.
So he traveled with Elvis for years and years and years and years and years. And so I was, spent the weekend with him that weekend because he came to town to sing at church. And so we hung out. And it was so awesome because he said, Wade, we would do a concert. And he said, in every hotel suite that Elvis had, he had to have a baby grand piano. Because that was part of his rider. Yeah. And he said, we would finish this 2 or 3 hour concert where we just, killed ourselves singing.
All. Yeah.
And Elvis would go, hey, let's go back up to the room and sing. And we were like,
just loved it.
Elvis, come on, dude. And he's like, come on, let's all. So he said we would go to his suite, and then we would sit down at the piano. And he said he's the only white guy that I ever met that knew more gospel songs than I did.
Yeah.
And he said we would sing hymns and gospel songs until 5 or 6 in the morning.
God, that's amazing.
And he said
never would have thought that.
No, he said he just loved music.
Yeah.
And he loved, gospel songs and hymns. And so, it's just, obviously Elvis kind of took a bad path towards the end. Yeah. But none of us are perfect.
It happens to a lot of people. He's not the only one.
No, far from it.
Right.
Far from it. I still remember, now this is going to make me seem like an Elvis weirdo. I still remember my dad and I still remember where we were in the car whenever they announced on the radio that Elvis had died.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What? No. So, anyway.
I don't remember that. I do. I mean, I have significant moments in life. We remember someone died. For me, I remember when Michael Jackson was. I was when Michael Jackson died.
Yeah.
I was in a nightclub actually. It was like a Saturday night in Wales, and everyone was like, because we were 6 hours ahead, and it was like, oh, Michael, what? Really? Okay, fair enough. I think it was Michael Jackson anyway. But yeah, mate, this has been awesome. It's been we're just over an hour.
Oh man, okay.
Of telling stories. We could sit here forever to talk about fashion and singing.
There you go.
Do you want to sing a little song for us, a little verse?
Acapella, right? Because this is you're throwing me under the bus.
I mean, you can. I mean, I can go over there, grab my headphones, and make sure the levels are good. If you want to sing,
no, it's fine. I'm trying to think of what I would sing.
What would you sing? Let me grab the headphones real quick.
Okay, you're gonna grab the headphones.
Just so you're not like blowing out my microphone. You sing many times, right?
He has heard me sing more than he wants to.
Tell you what you want to hear him sing.
This is.
What should he sing? Put him on the spot.
Yeah, this is the thing when I sing places. And people say, "Oh, I bet your wife loves to hear you sing." And I'm like, "Well, she did the first 5 years.
Now she's just bored of it." Yeah.
Now it's like, okay, I get it. You should sing. Good for you.
I mean, you didn't have to sing a full song. Just just a little, we can just close you out with for everyone listening, we can go to wadetower.com. I'll put the links in the description. And
there we go.
And
fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. There we go.
Pretty freaking good, that, isn't it?
I don't know.
He's only been doing it for a couple of decades.
a little while, yeah.
A little while. Awesome, mate. Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming on the podcast. Appreciate you putting this together. I know there's a lot of other guests we've talked about, that are going to come on because of your connections. I really appreciate that. I'm looking forward to growing our friendship and being in the same place. And I'm going to have to come down to Stake the Experience to hear you sing. In your arena, in your place to be. So and who doesn't love steak?
Absolutely.
So thanks so much for coming on the podcast. For people listening, I'll put the link in the description for wadetower.com and his social media stuff, and hire him for sure. If not, come to Stake the Experience.
There we go.
So thanks for listening, guys, and we will see you next episode. Cheers. This podcast is presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, telling Oklahoma story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at oklahomahof.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.